it's Kira and welcome to Vlogmas episode 4. It is currently Monday the 5th of December, which means that we are now like a fifth of the way through Vlogmas. Like, it's already come around so quickly. I feel like time is going so fast, and with today being the 5th, that means it's only 20 days to Christmas. So the first 5 days of December, which is what we've had now, like they have just gone by in the blink of an eye so quickly, and we only get to do that like 4 more times over and then Christmas is done. And I just feel like when I think about it like that, it kind of makes me feel a bit existential, because I think time just goes so much quicker at Christmas time, and I know everyone feels it, but I still think it's a phenomenon that I just cannot get my head around, like why time just seems to go so quickly in December. But it is a great reminder now that I've like put it into perspective for myself, just to enjoy the festivity as much as I possibly can, because it always goes way too quickly. And I just feel like it's important to, well, important if Christmas is important to you, which obviously it is to me. I'm not saying that you have to care about Christmas as much as I do, but for myself I feel like it is just a great reminder to try and enjoy all of the festivity as much as possible, because if I don't, it'll be over before I know it, and then I have to wait another 11 months before I can do it again. So very excited to enjoy as much festivity as the next couple of weeks have to offer me before Christmas Day is here. And on that note, I'm feeling a tiny bit frazzled this morning, but I'm going to turn that frazzlement into excitement, because I have quite a busy day ahead, as I mentioned in yesterday's vlog, and that is because I'm working from home this morning as I normally do, and then at lunchtime I'm leaving the house to go and get the train down to London, and I'm staying overnight tonight, and then I have a team Christmas away day tomorrow, which I'm really excited about, because I mean, I love Christmas things anyway, but it's also nice to do something with my team that isn't like work related. And especially having only been at my new job for, I think I've been there about 4 months now, so I'm not like new, but I feel like it's nice to do like more social things with people that you work with, especially if you mostly work from home like I do, just because it's a nice chance to like get to know people a bit better. So I'm very excited about that. And it's also like a foodie away day. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it is an experience called Gourmets, and you are like in teams, and I think you're sent clues to go and find certain food establishments, and then you get to pick up like different bits of street food along the route. And I feel like that sounds so much fun. It's vegan friendly, which is obviously exciting for me because it means I can actually take part. And I'm just super excited because I've never come across any kind of like experience like that before. So tomorrow is set to be a very exciting day. But today is even more exciting. No offence to my work colleagues, but I'm so excited about today because I'm travelling down this afternoon, arrive in London about 5 p.m, and then I'm going straight to meet Em. I'm staying at her house tonight, and we're going to have a festive evening together, which I am so excited about. I obviously met Em in London for breakfast last week as well, but before that I hadn't actually seen her since she moved down to London. And of course she used to live in York, and we used to be able to go out for coffee, hot chocolate and catch-ups all the time, so it feels like we don't see each other anywhere near enough anymore. It's like such a stark difference from when she lived close by. So although breakfast was lovely last week, it was only a really quick catch up, so we thought it would be nice to do something a little bit more special, and we are going to go out hopefully for some delicious dinner tonight and find something festive. I don't know what. I'm kind of leaving that to Em because she is now the London local and I don't really know what's going on. So basically we're going to do something festive, have an evening together, and then I'm staying over at Em's house tonight. So I actually have the most exciting couple of days ahead of me. And although I went down to London last week, I feel like the places I went to didn't look particularly festive. But I think we're going to go like properly into central London this evening, and I'm hoping that I will see London in all of its festive glory tonight, because I always hear that London is the nicest place to go at Christmas time, but last week didn't really sell it for me, so I'm hoping to see a little bit more festive magic this evening. But of course I have a morning of work ahead of me before I set off to go and get the train, and I will be working on the train as well. So got to get through all of that first, but I'm very excited for the next couple of days. However, as you might be able to tell from how quickly I feel like I'm talking, I find travelling exciting but also a little bit stressful, because I do not trust myself to remember everything that I need. And so I feel like until I have officially left the house and it's too late to turn back, my mind is going like a million miles an hour trying to remember like what I need, what am I going to wear, what do I need to pack, will I remember everything, have I charged all of my devices, and it just feels like I have a million and one things to remember, and that is just for a single overnight stay. So God forbid thinking about what I'm like when I actually travel for longer periods of time, but I'm feeling a little bit frazzled this morning, which I feel like makes it the perfect time to crack open today's tea advent calendar, because the best way to calm down and set yourself up for a relaxed day, I think, is just to enjoy a cup of tea. And I think this advent calendar is a great example of that, because it's one of those things where you can easily just pop the kettle on, grab a cup of tea, drink it in a couple of gulps and move on with your day. But with this advent calendar, where I'm really focusing on the flavours and just enjoying the experience, I feel like it is almost a little bit like meditative, because you just really step back and focus on the small details, which I think is something that you don't necessarily do in everyday life. So I really enjoy this, and it feels like the perfect thing to bring myself back down to earth on this very frazzled Monday morning. So without further ado, it is the 5th today. I can't remember if I've mentioned that yet. So let's find number 5 and try a tea. Okay. Ooh. Ooh. What's it going to be? I always try, because I can't see it before you do, to like guess what it will be from the colour, but I don't really know. Maybe like a gingery flavour? I'm not sure. Pina colada? Wow. Okay, that was not what I was expecting in the slightest, because although I love the sound of pina colada, that is not like a festive flavour, so I hadn't necessarily even thought about something so tropical in this advent calendar. But I may well be wrong. I don't think this was a flavour in last year's advent calendar, which is exciting, because I think so far the first 4 flavours had been repeats from last year, which I didn't mind at all because I really enjoyed them. But it's nice to know that there are going to be some new flavours mixed in as well, and I'm almost certain I would remember if I'd had a pina colada tea last year. But as I mentioned yesterday, if you've seen yesterday's vlog, I love, love, love coconut, and I love pineapple. Pineapple is one of my favourite things to put in smoothies, because I just think it has the most incredible tropical flavour. So not a festive, but I'm hoping a flavour sensation, because it sounds so lovely. So before I start work for the day, I'm just going to go make this cup of tea and take that time to enjoy a nice, hopefully delightful flavour sensation, and then get on with work for the morning. So with that said, let's go put the kettle on. Interestingly, I love the smell of this tea, but it doesn't smell like a pina colada. It has a super strong, zesty lemon smell. I think one of the ingredients was lemongrass, so that kind of makes sense, but it smells absolutely amazing. It smells like a lemon sherbet sweet, which is always a nice smell. So I'm going to let this brew for just a little bit longer, because I made 2 very conscious decisions when making this particular tea. One was to choose a smaller mug than normal, because this is a herbal fruit tea only. There is no rooibos, there is no black tea, there's no anything that gives it like a real strong flavour, and so the more you dilute it, the weaker the flavour will be. So I've gone for one of my smallest mugs to try and make the flavour as concentrated as possible. And then the other thing that I have done, and that I'm still in the midst of doing, is leaving it to brew for as long as humanly possible, so that again the flavour can be as concentrated as it possibly can be. So I'm just going to leave that for a moment, but so far it's smelling good. Not smelling how I would expect it to smell, but smelling good nonetheless. And realistically, I don't really care if a tea does or doesn't taste exactly like what it says on the tin, as long as the flavour that it has is good and strong and delicious and makes me want to keep going back for another sip. So even if it doesn't taste like a pina colada, I won't hold it against it, as long as it tastes like something delicious. And I just wanted to quickly chat about something that's quite unrelated to what I usually talk about, and that is my hair, because I'm feeling desperate at this moment in time, because I just really am not liking how my hair looks. I made a mistake earlier in the year, which was to get layers cut into my hair, and when I got the layers cut in, it was really because I wanted these kind of like fringy bits around my face, which I actually like these a lot. These are probably my favourite thing about my hair at the moment, but I specifically said to my hairdresser that I wanted these fringy bits to be shorter than the layers on the top of my head, but actually, as you can see, they're basically the same length, and so I feel like it just makes the top of my head look really heavy and like poofy. So I feel like having those layers put in was a mistake, and I definitely want to keep the fringy bits, and I would definitely go shorter around the face, but I feel like I just look like I've got a horrific bob on top of my head and then the rest of my hair underneath, and I just feel like it doesn't do anything for me, specifically because I know that curly hair is meant to be curlier at the shorter it is, the more it's meant to curl, but I don't think that's true of my hair, because last night, for example, when I had my shower, the bottoms of my hair were like a lot more defined in their wave pattern and the curl, and although I've kind of slept on it now so it's not as defined, I just feel like there's way more pieces that have like actual like curl to it. I don't know, like obviously I don't have curly hair, but it's definitely not straight, and I feel like the bottoms of my hair just maintain a much nicer pattern, whereas the bits at the top just are kind of like wispy and just hang there. They don't really have much definition at all, so I don't like them, and I'm just feeling a little bit desperate at the moment. So if anyone has a hair like mine, which is kind of like between I guess like a beachy wave and like a loose ringlet at its curliest, and then like a beachy wave at its least curly, and then also has like similar hair type in the sense that my hair, I have a lot of it, but it is quite fine hair. I don't have like particularly thick curly hair. So if anyone has any tips for me on A, like how to make it look nice, and B, how to style it, because I'm just not good at stuff like that, then I would absolutely love, welcome and cherish your advice. And now I think I'm going to try this tea, so without further ado, cheers to you. Ooh, okay. Wow, that is like a lemon sherbet tea. I know it says pina colada, but it's still so hot though. Oh, that was really hot in my throat. I took too big of a mouthful there. But you take a sip of that, and what I hate about fruit teas is when you get the smell and then the flavour does not match the level of the smell, whereas I feel like in this you take this lovely like sniff of like citrusy punchy lemon, and then you take a sip and it does the exact same thing on your tongue. You get that same like explosion of like sweet and not sour but like punchy, zesty, lemony flavour, and I really like that. I think time and time again I have had this same sort of theory proved, which is that I don't like fruit teas except for teas that have lemon and ginger in. Lemongrass especially, I think always brings such an intense flavour and I love it. So I'm not getting coconut, I'm not getting pineapple, I'm not getting apple, and I'm not getting orange, which were some of the other flavours in there, but what I am getting is lemongrass and I really like it. So wouldn't get this tea if you are really in the mood for like a proper pina colada-y flavour combo, because it just doesn't provide that. But if you want something that is like nice, zesty, light, and just like has like a nice intense flavour without being like a heavy tea that has like black tea or rooibos in, then I think this is a great choice because it has a really nice zesty, punchy flavour. Not to keep repeating myself, but yeah, so not what I was expecting, but also not disappointing. So I can't complain. Now, obviously I'm going to London this afternoon, so I need to get myself ready and pack all of my bags, and one of the things that I will of course be bringing with me is a book, and I think it's time to decide exactly what book that will be. So if you were watching yesterday's vlog, you'll know that the spinning wheel of books selected Beautiful World, Where Are You as my next read, and I'm not opposed to bringing this book with me as such, but I do want to kind of roll the dice, see what the wheel gives me next, and decide whether the other book would be a better option for travelling with, just because if it brings up a new book that I haven't read before yet, I think I would rather bring that with me because I prefer to read something new on the train that will like keep me entertained, whereas this book, while I'm not actually mad about rereading it, I don't want to necessarily bring a reread with me. So with that said, I'm gonna roll the dice again, spin the wheel, see what it gives me, and if it's another reread, then I'll probably just stick with Sally Rooney. But if it gives me a new book that I haven't read before yet, then I might take that one instead. So without further ado, okay, so I have got Tess of the D'Urbervilles, which is actually downstairs. I haven't ever read that before. It's obviously Thomas Hardy, a classic, and this year I have to say I have really let it slide with classics. To say that I started the year with the intention of doing a classics read along and then I majorly fell off the bandwagon with that one. Haven't really read many classics at all, so I feel like that is actually a great choice, so I'm going to bring that one with me. And also it's a thinner book, which means that having had to pack all of my work clothes and everything that I need for tomorrow, pyjamas, makeup bag, all that jazz, a thinner book is always a good thing for just sliding in the bag nice and easily. So there we go, I'm going to bring that one with me. I'm not abandoning this book by any stretch of the imagination, but I'll just pick this one back up again when I'm home tomorrow evening, or probably more likely on Wednesday the next day. I'll give this one another try, but for travelling, Tess of the D'Urbervilles will be my companion. So there we go. I think I'll catch up with you later on when I'm setting off for London. Right, clearly we're not at my house. I have made it to Emma's house after what can only be described as the most hellish train journey of my entire existence. I honestly was not expecting it. It's literally Monday afternoon. I thought maybe a quiet train, a few people going down to London. Apparently today was the day that every man and his dog was going to London. It was the busiest train I've ever seen in my life, and there were cancellations, and I saw 3 very strange things on the train.
Oh, are you going to say
I'm gonna tell the
When she
story.
told me these things, I was almost sick.
Okay, the first one was just an old man who was sat in my seat that I booked and paid for, refusing to get up and basically like folding his arms and having a tantrum because I dared to say that he was sat in my seat. And I normally wouldn't have minded, but the train was literally packed to the brim, and I just knew that if I sat in someone else's booked seat, I was going to get bothered. So that was a terrible start to the journey. Next, because I was sat in a different seat to where I was supposed to be, I was sat in the aisle, and I would normally always choose the window. So imagine I'm here and another woman is in the aisle where Em is sat right there.
I am woman.
And this woman just suddenly pulls a drink out of her bag. Was it a cup of tea? No. Was it a coffee? No. Was it even an orange juice? No. It was a carton of goat's milk that she was just swigging on the train. I just thought that was the weirdest thing
I don't
ever.
think I would ever think, do you know what I really fancy right now? Goat's milk. Same, like, I would never think, do you know what I really fancy right now? Tomato juice. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I really fancy? Prune juice. Like, there's just a few drinks that just don't really come to mind.
Controversially, always think I really fancy sparkling water.
Oh, that is controversial, you heathen.
I'm sorry.
And then saving the best or worst to last, depending on how you look at the situation. So I was sat in my seat, and a few rows ahead of me, in the table seat facing my direction, was a young gentleman who seemed normal for like the first hour of the journey, and then out the corner of my eye I just caught him doing what is probably the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. So imagine I'm like itching my back, right? And then from my back I like look like I've pinched something, bring it round and take a nibble from my fingers. And I do this not once, not even twice, but several times over the course of a good few minute period. I keep reaching around, nibbling something from my body.
The grossest thing I've ever heard.
Like I was, you know, like in those videos of monkeys grooming each other. Like, that's what it looked like, and I just thought, what am I seeing here? I was so confused. I'm still so confused. But
disgusting.
There was also plenty of people with disgusting chesty coughs on the train, and honestly, by the time I got to London, I felt like I was in need of like a cleansing. It was just such a traumatic
Is this meant to be
experience.
a wholesome vlog?
Yeah, sorry guys. Reality has taken over, and unfortunately, I was not a very like cozy. I was hoping for like a nice chilled out train journey, crack open my book. Well, I'm here to give you a quick reading update, and that reading update is that I read absolutely 0 pages of this book, so I have nothing to say. Tess of the D'Urbervilles.
That's probably why you didn't read me.
No. I'm excited about this one, but I don't know if you've seen my Vlogmas. It's okay if you haven't. But what I'm trying to do to reach my Goodreads goal, because I had to read 35 books before the end
What's your
of the
Goodreads
year.
goal?
75. But I'd only read 40 books.
That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, but I thought, it's not going to happen. But I'm going to try and get as close as I can.
Yeah, and you thought that you could do that by reading stodgy classics.
What I thought I would do is put a load of books that are on my TBR and some that I want to reread into like a spinning wheel of books. So I've got...
I do like that. Can I spin? No, because then I decide your next read.
Okay, right, go on then. Okay, so apparently Em's choosing my next read.
Go, lads. Oh,
no, you have
did
to
it wrong.
tap it.
Oh. I'm not gonna let you see. I don't even know. Love and Other Disasters.
Oh, okay.
What's
That's
that?
a rom-com that I was sent last January by Book of the Month when they sent me a book box. It was either January or December, so I got 2 from them. And they sent me a festive one in December, so it must have been the January pick. And I think it's about a chef, but it's like a rom-com.
It's fitting that I would choose a rom-com. Do you know what else I think we should do in this little clip?
What?
Is you should reveal, so you're ready for the morning clip tomorrow, your advent calendar, and I can do mine early too.
Okay, so basically I have a slight confession to make, and that is because obviously I do my tea advent calendar every single morning, and I did not want tomorrow morning to be one that I had to miss because I can't really start my day without a cup of tea anyway, so I thought I might as well bring the box with me. But then I put it in my bag. I was going to try and keep it a surprise, and then I showed it to Em in case she wanted to try the second tea bag, because it obviously always comes with 2. Em had a, like, what's the word? Like a guttural reaction of like, absolutely not.
but thank you anyway.
Thank you for the offer, but no. And immediately that made me want to throw all element of surprise out the window, and I had to know what the tea was. So
tomorrow's tea is
in my bag. Hold on, guys, hold on.
I bet they weren't expecting a feature-length film for this vlog.
Earl Grey cream, which...
I would say creme.
Well, we have to agree to disagree.
No, but you would say creme caramel.
But I would say cream egg.
Oh, interesting.
So, okay.
It's like we've brought the podcast to video format.
So it says creamy and fragrant.
That is teetering on the edge, that mug.
It's not.
It's has to be my advent calendar as well.
Oh, yeah. Right. So, I'm excited for this because I love an Earl Grey, so I can't wait to try this in the morning. It has Sri Lankan black tea, cornflowers, vanilla pieces, and I feel like vanilla in tea is a Melbourne breakfast, and I absolutely
What's a Melbourne breakfast?
Like English breakfast tea.
Yeah.
Like a Melbourne breakfast blend. It's like an English breakfast, like black tea with vanilla in. So I guess the cornflowers must be the Earl Grey element, but I think this is going to be absolutely delicious, so I can't wait to have that in the morning.
Exciting.
But do you want to explain what your advent calendar is?
So, if you don't know who I am, you'd be forgiven because I haven't done a YouTube video in forever. But I'm Em. Hello. And I did advent calendar vlogs last year with this advent calendar, and it is the Rare Birds Books 24 Days of Reading calendar. That's not going to focus, is it?
Not with my face in the shot.
And every single day, the door has a synopsis of a book, and then at the end of the month you pick your 4 favourite synopsi, and then and then they send you 4 books. So like the calendar's like £40, but then you get 4 books. So I don't think that's too bad. Plus you get the experience.
I think it's a fun thing, like, because obviously you come across titles or concepts that you wouldn't otherwise like gravitate
exactly.
to.
You can justify any purchase.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna come right up close so I can show this on. We're on an airbed, so
it's a bit bouncy. Oh my god. Nearly what's
capsized.
No, like seesaw. I nearly seesawed up with my
Oh my
tea.
god, you and that tea. Okay, so I'm gonna open day 6 a few hours early so that you can see. It's gonna be hard to do this, I think. Not off to a good start.
One-handed jobs are always tricky.
Okay, 6. You can read it before me. Is that going to focus? I think I've moved your camera. It's focusing. Okay, so it says... Oh, I know what this is. I know what this is.
Okay.
You have to guess the book.
I know what it is.
I don't know, it depends if you've read it. 4 close-knit siblings from a famous family gather in Malibu for an annual summer party in 1983. As secrets are revealed, it threatens to bring their lives crashing down.
Well, I haven't read it, but
She hasn't read it, but she has had my copy for about 10 years. Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And do you know what? That's quite disappointing because
you got it.
I feel like there were only a few in here which are like romance, like women's fiction, and that's one of them, and now I can't pick it.
Yeah, although we're only on day 6, so you've got quite a lot there.
Yeah.
But I do think I personally was very tempted to get the Rare Birds calendar this year, but just financially I couldn't quite justify it. But I'm hoping that next year I'll be able to, because I think it's such a fun idea.
It is. The one that I'm convinced that I'm going to get so far is: a woman weaves her way through a lonely Italian city over the course of a year, reflecting on all that's been lost, until one life-altering moment at the sea changes everything.
Ooh.
Do you know what?
I love a
I don't know if I've read it. I don't know if that's One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle, but that's not over the course of a year, so I don't think I have, but...
Do you find out the titles before you order it?
Yes.
Okay, so you would know for sure.
I would know for sure.
I'm not going to order one that I've already
Yeah.
got. Oh, that's
and
good.
last year, when I got this calendar, on day 1, the synopsis was my favourite book of this year. So I have high hopes for this.
Okay.
So,
that is high hopes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Advent calendars are sorted for tomorrow, so you know exactly what we're going to be doing tomorrow. I cannot wait to get up early. Well, to be fair, I would love to not get up early, but I cannot wait to have my cup of tea waiting for me after I get up. So, with that said, it is way later than I ever would normally go to bed. It's currently 10 to 11 in the evening. Look at me, a real grown-up. So, gonna finish off this cup of tea, go to bed on my air mattress, hopefully have a good night's sleep, and I'll catch up with you in the morning for a taste test of Earl Grey cream.
Bye!
Good morning, guys. I actually had a surprisingly good sleep on the airbed. It's definitely flatter than it was when we pumped it up last night, but I feel like that's the case with any airbed. I actually had it felt like a longer sleep to say that I went to bed so much later than I normally do. And I have to say, if anyone else is struggling with feeling cold, sleeping bags are the way forward, because obviously they're meant for outside, keeping you warm, and I have never been cozier than I was last night in that sleeping bag.
Never.
So, I mean, obviously that's a slight exaggeration, but recently I would say that's probably the coziest sleep I've had.
Wow.
Yeah, so would recommend, if anyone feeling especially cold, get yourself a sleeping bag, because I feel like that's definitely got to be more affordable than turning on the heating all night. So there we go. But it is now Tuesday morning and I have made myself my day 6 cup of tea, my Earl Grey cream, and I have made it with oat milk and also put a tiny bit of sugar in, just because I feel like that goes quite well with Earl Grey. So without further ado, let's have a taste test. It smells like an Earl Grey with vanilla, which is basically what the ingredients said, so no surprises there. And it tastes like an Earl Grey with vanilla, so again, no surprises there. This is a tea that would probably be like one that I would just have regularly in the cupboard. It's not as exciting as some of the other flavours because it is a little bit more standard, just like an English breakfast tea, but I'm a big fan of Earl Grey and I actually drink Earl Grey more than I drink English breakfast tea, so I feel like this one is one that I would definitely gravitate towards, because I just think it's like a really nice, like it feels like warming and comforting, but it's also like a bit of a lighter flavour and a bit more floral than a English breakfast tea, but without being so floral that it's a herbal tea. So I feel like it's a nice in-between, and I am going to enjoy this cup of tea before leaving the house and finding somewhere to work for the morning before my work Christmas afternoon that we have booked in, which is, I can't remember if I mentioned yesterday, but it is called ENQURIES, and it's basically you get put in teams and you get sent like scavenger hunt clues, and the clues lead you to different food establishments where you get to try different bits of street food. So I feel like that's going to be really, really fun, but I have a morning of work between me and an afternoon of good food, so better get onto that. Home sweet home. It is now Wednesday morning and I'm obviously back at my house in my pyjamas after a night in a real bed. No complaints, because like I said, I actually had a much better sleep on that air mattress in the sleeping bag than I expected to. But no matter how good your sleep is at like a hotel or a friend's house, or oh my god, that just sounded like the cat launched himself down the stairs. Oscar? You okay? Oh good, he's still alive. Phew. But yeah, no matter how good your sleep is, like anywhere other than your own house, I feel like the first night in your own bed is always like a million times better, just because it's what you're used to. So, had a great night's sleep. I got back I think about 9:30 last night, so not too late, but by the time I got off the train I was feeling so sleepy, and you know when you've had like a really long journey in like a warm car or like a warm train, and then you like get off out into the like cold air when you like get out the car, or I got out onto the train platform and I was just so tired and so cold. So I got home, put the pyjamas on straight away and got right into bed, so I didn't have a chance to speak to you before going to sleep last night. But I actually had a really nice train journey home, certainly compared to the train journey down the other day, and I actually managed to get some reading done. So I finally cracked open Tess of the D'Urbervilles and I made myself read, made my way through 51 pages of reading. I did, as inevitably happens every time I try to read on an evening train, fall asleep, and I just so this happened twice. Let's just get through this story. So basically I was sat in the aisle seat on the train because although it was a better journey than the train on Monday, it was still quite a busy journey, like most of the seats were full. So I was sat in the aisle seat and I was reading and I felt like I was getting really tired, but I thought that I had talked myself out of it, but that must have been like subconsciously happening while I was also falling asleep, because I was just sat, I thought, reading, and then I just heard, and my book just fell into the aisle of the train and it just crashed and woke me up with a startling sound. And that happened not just one time, but 2 times, because I then went on my phone for a couple of minutes, thought I'd like woken myself up enough, and then picked the book up again, started reading, blah de blah de blah, boom, dropped the book, was actually asleep, and that happened twice. So I tried to do as much reading as I could, but I also was conscious that I didn't want to fall asleep and accidentally miss my stop, so I ended up about half an hour away from York, putting the book down and just picking up my phone to make sure that I definitely wouldn't miss my stop on the train. But what I read so far certainly seems interesting. So what we have is the story basically focuses on Tess, obviously, as the title would suggest, but Tess is not Tess d'Urbervilles, or as, like, I guess that's what the title would make it sound like. Tess is actually from a much, I guess, like, lower working class family, and the d'Urbervilles are like an older, more like regal family who have like history and money and land and all that kind of stuff. And then Tess's dad finds out that I think they're called the Derby Fields, are related through like a long lineage to the d'Urbervilles, and so they decide to send Tess off, who is their oldest daughter, the most educated, the most well-spoken, to try and claim kinship with this family. And that's basically what I've gotten up to so far, is Tess making her first interactions with the d'Urbervilles, and one of them, Alec, doesn't seem very nice. He seems a little bit unhinged, and like he's a very unpredictable character, so I don't know exactly what direction it's going to go in. But Tess is now working for the d'Urbervilles as, I think, some kind of animal keeper, and so yeah, it's an interesting concept, I think, and one that kind of reminds me of a BBC TV show that was on, I think, in the noughties, called Lark Rise to Candleford, where we had this like Lark Rise was this like small village where a group of working class people would, you know, live, and they had farms, and they were very much like living on the land, and they were often the people who would work for the richer people who lived in this town called Candleford, and this was where like one of the like girls from a working class family managed to get a job, I think, in a dressmaker's in Candleford, and it's all about, I guess, like the divide between the upper and lower classes and how those boundaries can be crossed. And I guess we have that as well in things like Downton Abbey, where we have the upstairs and downstairs concept. So I feel like it is always an interesting concept where we have these like very clear social lines as would have existed in society at this time, and then how certain circumstances and people can be allowed to kind of traverse across those lines. So I think it's very interesting, and I'm excited to see like what direction it goes in. My only critique of the book so far is that Tess's family are very, very regional to, I think it must be like the southwest area. I don't know if it's actually specifically said, but it certainly sounds like it, because all of the bits of Tess and her family talking are written in like really strong regional dialect, which I always find a little bit jarring in a book specifically, because I think it can really add to a show when you're actually hearing the dialect spoken as you would actually expect dialect to be spoken, you know, and you get the accent and the, I guess, like, communication is clearer when you're hearing it audibly, whereas I think when it's written down it just feels a little bit jarring, and I don't love it. But I am so close to the front of the book at the moment that it might well be something that I just get used to as I go through. But aside from that, no complaints. I am enjoying this book. So I'm going to do some more reading of this later, and I am of course still going to be reading Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney, but I'm not going to be doing that right now, because right now I'm going to finish up this vlog and get on to editing, because I need to get this video edited before I start work this morning. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my extravaganza trip to London. I enjoyed this trip so much more than last week's, because I feel like I actually got to do lots of fun London-y things this time around, whereas last time it was very much a get to a conference centre for work, get to the train station, get home. So it was nice to actually do some fun festive and foodie activities. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of days for the next episode of Vlogmas.